Well, many neighbors had to walk past this crime scene behind me when they took their children to school this morning. They say the officer-involved shooting is not only terrifying, it serves as a reminder to never let your guard down. Winds by Florence caused large trees like the one right here underneath my foot to snap in half. And take a look at this. A boat is not supposed to be in someone's front yard. ¿Qué problemas existen en las granjas?
Tenemos problemas con el pago.
The crews are out here to take down what remained of the Silent Sam statue. As you can see, the base of the statue is no longer here, but one thing does remain. A metal barrier is wrapping around this area at McCorkle Place, and also there are several chains and locks on it to make sure that no one gets by. A Jeep on the scene is damaged as well. The passenger side window is completely blown out. There's glass shattered all across the ground, and there's also several bullet holes on the front side of the Jeep. Here in the city of Clinton, where the winds are really picking up right now, as you can see behind me, there are several power lines out here. According to officials, they're telling me that a lot of the city is experiencing power outages because of the effects of Hurricane Florence. In fact, we just left the police department here in downtown Clinton. Even they are without power. Here in Johnston County, and I wanted to give you guys some live updates via Facebook. Take a look at this right here. As you can see, a lot of shrubbery, and this is just the beginning. I want to go out there and see their condition, if they have any damage or if they need any help. We are here for you. By the sounds of it, 15-year-old Haley Wagner and her 14-year-old brother Steven are in good spirits.
Big gloves.
But their bodies still have a long way to go. The two teens survived a deadly crash Sunday night in Johnston County. Their grandmother, 65-year-old Marjorie Wagner Reagan, died. So did their close friend, 15-year-old Ethan Hanley. Smithville police say Felix Juarez Antunes was speeding, drinking, and driving when he slammed into their grandma's minivan. They were coming back from the movies when it happened at the intersection of Wilson's Mills Road and M. Durwood Stevenson Highway.
After we got hit, and looking to my left and seeing my grandma, because the whole chair had come loose and she was still seat belted in, and I reached over and touched her stomach and she wasn't breathing.
He asked me to be his girlfriend when we were at Cold Stone right after the movie theater, so I got to date Ethan for like a whole 10 minutes. So that was, I guess, the best 10 minutes ever.
They say their grandma loved everyone.
Whether that was bringing snacks to everybody or you're at a football game and she waits until the last person leaves the game.
And Ethan made everyone smile. Although he's gone, his humor still warms their hearts through photos and videos. As the two teens recover from deep bruises and broken bones, they want their loss to be a lesson to others.
I don't think that the person that hit us truly understands what he caused and how he impacted us.
There's no good outcome whenever it comes to drunken driving.
They say this one reckless choice cost them 2 precious lives. Reporting in Raleigh, Felicia Bolton, CBS 17 News. Well, many neighbors had to walk past this crime scene behind me when they took their children to school this morning. They say the officer-involved shooting is not only terrifying, it serves as a reminder to never let your guard down. Feet of yellow crime scene tape stretch across this Raleigh apartment complex, blocking off the area where an officer was shot. Neighbors say their normally quiet home sounded more like a war zone on Wednesday night.
I heard 3 loud noises, and then I heard a bunch of commotion, and I looked outside, and there's nothing but police out here.
We just hear like 5, 6, or 7 shots around here.
Police say Officer Charles Ainsworth was trying to arrest a suspect when he was shot, and that shooting left extensive damage to property nearby. A Jeep on the scene is damaged as well. The passenger side window is completely blown out. There's glass shattered all across the ground, and there's also several bullet holes on the front side of the Jeep. After hours of searching, officers were able to arrest the suspected gunman and other suspects. Even with the men behind bars, neighbors have very little peace.
Worry, so I'm concerned. constantly, so I'm in shock right now.
And Raleigh police are still investigating this afternoon. There are several police vehicles still out here on the scene, and there are several families that live in this area. Family members and neighbors I spoke to say they are very grateful no children were hurt from the gunfire. Reporting live in Raleigh, Felicia Bolton, CBS 17 News.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
Down the hall at the Duke Midtown Clinic, inside of this tiny office, Alkeda Stevens and her husband Mark are taking on a big feat. She's relearning English,
Basic.
her second language, after a hit-and-run crash.
So thankful of everybody for me and my family to help me and to pray for me and to help us with many, many things.
The couple met in Alkeda's native country of Albania more than 24 years ago. Mark was on a missions trip with his church and fell in love at first sight.
She had gotten off the helicopter there in a remote village, and I was there in the base camp already, and she got out of the Land Rover at the base camp, and I saw her. For me, it was like being stunned at first sight.
They got married, started a family, and moved back to the States to pursue their careers. Alkeda's goal? To become a nurse. Within a few years, she made it happen, learning English and getting a nursing degree from Winston-Salem State University. Then in May 2019, she graduated from Duke with a nurse practitioner's degree. But 5 days later, tragedy hit. A car slammed into her SUV. She and 2 other passengers were inside, but Alkeda took the brunt of the impact. Raleigh police say the driver left the scene.
When she was in the hospital, and I was potentially going to lose my wife because she was in a very bad coma, and she had the worst coma you could possibly have.
Alkeda was in a coma for 2.5 months. Doctors said there was a slim chance she would survive. But one day, she woke up. Alkeda says support from her friends and family is what helps her get through painstaking physical and speech therapy.
I've known them since the first days of being in this country, and I've known them for 22 years that I've been here to help me, like how to speak the English, how to do a job here, how to go to work, to be a nurse and learn from them and be a friend for them as well. I'm so sorry.
But her friend Ann Derwin says they're just returning the sentiment.
She just was a role model. Everyone who had met her throughout our trip in Honduras, all the team members just noticed that she had this soft, gentle, persistent kindness.
Derwin says Alkeda always outserved others, from collecting dozens of crates of toiletries for Honduran families in need to comforting people in their final moments in life.
This is a baby boy.
Okay. Oh, baby boy, you're right, I think.
So it looks like a baby boy.
Okay.
Alkeda says she draws her strength from loss. Her youngest son, Aaron, died in 2007 from lung and kidney complications at just 7 months old.
So I was a math teacher before I decided to become a nurse here in the U.S. And the second time to become a nurse came because of our second son, Aaron, which lived for only 7 months old.
His short life inspires her to make a remarkable recovery and to help other patients do the same one day. Reporting in Raleigh, Felicia Bolton, CBS 17 News.
It was a hurtful thing.
The sudden loss of Scott Shaw's mother weighs heavy on his heart.
No human being should ever watch another human being die the way I watched my mother die. All of us watched my mother die.
In 2012, 77-year-old Elwina Shaw got an injection to relieve the discomfort of a herniated disc in her spine. Weeks later, she had migraine headaches and excruciating pain.
She would cry the most awful sounds that I have ever heard anything make in my entire life.
A spinal tap revealed Shaw had fungal meningitis.
She was taken from us. She and a whole lot of other people were taken from this world.
The U.S. Attorney's Office in the District of Massachusetts confirms more than 100 people across the country died after receiving a steroid contaminated with fungus. 793 others got infections. Investigators blame the New England Compounding Center in Massachusetts. Compounding pharmacies can legally create drugs prescribed by doctors for specific patients with needs that can't be met by commercially available drugs. But federal investigators say the New England Compounding Center broke the law by making and shipping the drugs across the country without receiving proper prescriptions. Shaw claims his mother was never told where the drug came from, and she never asked. Now he's made her pain his purpose.
But when I took a hold of that casket handle and slid her out of that hearse and walked her up that hill, it got personal.
Following her death, he reached out to attorney Forrest Horn for help.
The hospitals and the pain clinics were ordering dozens and dozens, if not hundreds of dozens of vials of this medication instead of buying it from a manufacturer because they were getting it cheaper.
The outbreak prompted Congress to pass the Drug Quality and Security Act of 2013. It enhances the FDA's ability to help protect consumers from exposure to drugs that may be counterfeit, stolen, contaminated, or otherwise harmful. But Horn says that is not enough.
The major flaw in the law is that it still allows compounders to make a sterile injectable drug in anticipation for a prescription instead of having an actual prescription.
The North Carolina Board of Pharmacy is in charge of inspecting and regulating the day-to-day activities of pharmacies. Executive Director Jay Campbell believes the latest law is working.
What has emerged from that has been states focusing very clearly on proactive inspection and enforcement.
I found 23 pharmacies in North Carolina that do high-risk sterile compounding. They are now inspected at least annually. Those that do less risky compounding functions are inspected every 18 months to 4 years, depending on what they're doing. But in the eyes of this grieving son, those new standards fall short.
I want change. I want meaningful change in our system from one end to the other on the preventive side.
He's now pleading for lawmakers to create tougher enforcement across the country. Reporting in Raleigh for the CBS 17 investigators, I'm Felicia Bolton.